The GoPro footage was corrupted, but not before it uploaded one final folder to the cloud, exactly 5 minutes long. No one knows how the signal got out. The hiker never did. What you're about to hear wasn't meant for the living. I wasn't supposed to be the one reviewing the footage. I was just the IT contractor called in to assist a ranger's office in Morganton, North Carolina, after a missing person case went cold. The hiker was 27-year-old Ethan Kasner from Asheville. Solo backpacker, had a passion for lost trails and ghost towns. Vanished April 12, 2024, while exploring an unmarked route somewhere south of Table Rock in Pisgah National Forest. His GoPro was found 19 days later, wedged inside a hollow tree near a waterfall that doesn't appear on any map. The ranger who located it said the memory card was warm when he removed it, even though the forest air was below freezing. When I pulled the data off the cloud sync, there were 12 folders, 11 of which were normal trail logs. But the last one, labeled simply Noise, contained a single 5-minute clip. No GPS tag, no timestamp, just 5 minutes and 8 seconds of raw, shaky footage. I shouldn't have opened it alone, but I did. What I saw still makes my skin ache in places I didn't think could feel. This is what played back, frame by frame, starting in total darkness. At first, only the sound of Ethan breathing, erratic, terrified. Then the audio spike, a high-pitched hiss, followed by a knock. Not on wood, on stone. 3 deliberate taps. The lens flared to light, night mode on, showing Ethan's face in green, smeared with blood and dirt, eyes wide. He whispered, "It's behind me." His voice didn't match his lips. There was a delay, half a second off. Then he turned the camera around. What we saw next wasn't part of the forest. It was too symmetrical. Stone pillars arched out from the earth, each one marked with crude carvings like teeth and hands. Between them stood a humanoid figure, barefoot, face obscured by matted black hair, its spine arched in reverse. It made no sound. The trees behind it pulsed, contracting like lungs. Ethan backed away slowly. The figure didn't follow, but his own shadow on the ground did, split in two, each limb bending in a different direction. He whispered again, "It's not the forest. It's the thing under it." At 1:32 in, the audio cut. Completely. Total digital silence. He began to sprint, and the footage glitched, frames skipped, doubling over themselves. He tripped, rolled, and the camera landed sideways. His face came back into view, blood on his cheek now fresh, bubbling. But his expression didn't change. He looked directly into the lens and said, "If this uploads, don't rewind." A pause. They can come through sound. And then, at 2:46, the forest disappeared. Not gradually. One frame was Ethan crouched beside roots. The next was something else. A circular room made of salt-crusted wood and fur. Hanging from the ceiling were dozens of black shapes, twitching. The camera panned upward on its own, hands trembling, and caught a mirror. But it wasn't Ethan reflected in it. It was someone else wearing his face, crying, screaming silently. Then that reflection smiled, backward, and that's when Ethan's voice returned, now distant, echoing from inside the GoPro mic. "It's recording from them now." Not me. At 4:44, the footage turned completely black. Only audio remained. Shallow breathing. Then one sound, the unmistakable noise of a GoPro being unmounted from a head strap. Followed by a whisper, inches from the mic. Next. The clip ended at exactly 5:08. When I looked up from my monitor, my ears were bleeding. No joke. Both canals, thin trickles. The ranger who brought me the drive had vanished from the station. His boots were still outside the door. Every attempt to re-access the folder labeled Noise has failed. But the footage now shows up in random synced drives, phones, work PCs, even traffic cams. Always 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Always in folders people don't remember making. And it always starts playing exactly 5 minutes before someone goes missing. Part 2. The journal that shouldn't exist. Found in a dry cave on Little Table Rock Ridge. The search team found Ethan's final journal 4 days after the GoPro upload went viral on missing persons forums. A climber named Shauna Greer reported seeing something like a face peeking from bark near the far side of Little Table Rock Ridge, an area that had already been cleared twice. When SAR returned to recheck the coordinates, they found a dry cave tucked beneath a collapsed rhododendron root ball. Inside were 2 things: a trail-worn backpack with Ethan's initials stitched in, and a moleskin notebook, burned along the edges like it had been singed but not consumed. The last 8 pages were filled with handwriting that started legible and ended in something like clawed ink trails. The official report said the pages were incoherent. That's not true. They made too much sense. I wasn't supposed to see the transcript, but someone in the station faxed me a copy at 3:06 a.m. with no name, no sender ID. Just a sticky note that said, "You uploaded it, you finish it." Here's what was written, verbatim. Page 1. Written in ballpoint pen. Day 4. Trail turned strange today. Took the West Ridge past Devil's Elbow, but it dropped off faster than expected. Found a grove with trees burned black halfway up. No fire scars, just charred mid-trunk like a perfect ring. Something knocked behind me twice. No echo. Kept walking. Page 2. Day 5. Woke up with pine needles in my mouth. Tent flap was open. No animals, no prints, but something had pressed a handprint into the dirt. 5 fingers, long, thumb was on the wrong side. Followed creek upstream and found a clearing full of stacked rocks shaped like chairs. Something watched from inside one. I didn't blink. Page 3. Don't say their names. Don't say their names. Don't say their names. They watch the mouth, not the eyes. They hear it when you think it. Not safe in mirrors, not safe in sound. The static is them. That's how they come through. Page 4. Pen begins to dig into the paper. I tried leaving. Followed my own prints back, but they went in circles. Trees change when you're not looking. The moss grows up, not down. It's all backward here. It smells like copper and pine, but underneath like rotting teeth. Page 5. GoPro picked up something I didn't see. When I played it back, there were 3 figures behind me. Tall, thin, standing still. But they were gone when I turned. They don't move when watched. They just wait. I think I recorded too much. They notice through the lens. They crawl through the sound. Page 6, scratched into paper. I heard myself breathing when I wasn't. Something is wearing my pace. Something walks just behind, perfectly in sync. It spoke with my voice last night. Told me to sleep deeper. Said it would hold my dreams open. Page 7, all caps, shaky. If this is found, do not upload anything. Do not replay. Do not listen with headphones. They hate the loop. They feed on echo. If you hear 3 knocks, never answer. They are not calling for you. They are listening. Page 8, ink runs off edge. Last sunset lasted too long. Sky melted like wax. Trees hum. The valley is hollow. Their nest is not in earth. It's under sound. The pages after that are torn. Rangers said there was no sign Ethan had ever slept in that cave. No bedding, no footprints. But the notebook was still warm to the touch. It smelled faintly of cedar and something sharper, like ozone before a lightning strike. That same day, 3 more hikers reported hearing whispers and static bursts on their trail radios. One said the voice spoke in Ethan's tone, but with different words. "Keep recording. We're almost through." Do it on a part 3. The Ranger's last transmission. Footage recovered from Trail Cam 07B, Pisgah Sector Line. The U.S. Forest Service maintains a limited number of passive wildlife cameras throughout Pisgah, mostly to monitor bear movement and illegal poaching zones. One of those, Trail Cam 07B, sits nearly 300 feet off the man-made trail grid in an area with no maintained footpath, nicknamed the Wash by fire crews because of how often the soil collapses during storms. On April 25, 2024, the same day Ethan's journal was recovered, the trail cam auto-uploaded a 6-minute motion trigger video to the Ranger Station server. But it only triggered once, even though it's designed to fire every 10 seconds when movement continues. The ranger on duty that night, Corporal Trevor Simons, was last seen reviewing the footage before logging off. His badge and truck were found at his home. He wasn't. The footage is archived, but classified under restricted status. I still had my clearance key from the cloud sync job. I watched it. It begins with wind. Violent, unnatural, like it's rushing through a pipe the size of a canyon. Then static, not digital, but analog, as if the camera's mic was hearing a radio station that didn't exist. Then it shifts. A figure stumbles into view. It's Simons. He's walking backwards through the underbrush, looking dead into the lens, eyes glassy, bleeding from the forehead. His chest is rising rapidly, and he's whispering something through cracked lips. I turned the volume up. He's saying, "Don't, look, behind." He repeats it. "Don't, look, behind." Over and over. Then he stops, still as stone. His mouth slowly stretches open. Something long and colorless begins pushing its way out of his mouth. An arm, but too thin, too jointed, like a spider leg made of fog. Simons never blinks, not once. The camera crackles. The picture distorts. The sky behind him darkens. Timestamp still reads daytime, but the footage shows black skies. Then, 3 frames of complete white. On frame 4, Simons is gone. The grass is undisturbed, but the camera's focus begins to pulse, zooming in slowly, on nothing. No command, just a drift toward empty woods. In the bottom right corner, for 1 second, the reflection of a pale face appears in the lens, looking inward. No eyes, just a mouth, grinning, then gone. After watching it, I blacked out for 11 minutes. I came to with my headphones off, lying in the station hallway with the emergency light flashing red. The camera is now dead, fully offline. No hardware damage, just unresponsive. The Rangers refused to discuss Simons. One of them told me he transferred. Another said he'd been dead since 2020. But I remember seeing him on the cam on that date. Breathing, watching, whispering the same thing that played over Ethan's final clip. Don't rewind. Part 4. The last 5 seconds. Footage pulled from the GoPro's internal cache, time-stamped 02/41:22 a.m., April 25th, 2024. They told me the card was corrupted, that even if we had it, the terrain would have destroyed most of the chip. Too much moisture, impact, corrosion. And yet, late one night in June, a ranger intern handed me an unmarked manila envelope with no return address and a sticky note that simply read, "For your records, don't play it alone." Inside was a micro SD sealed in resin. I pulled the footage using a forensic extractor. It was fragmented, non-linear, except the final 5 seconds, which were buried in a folder named Ghost Sync 0. The GoPro's internal cache had kept a time-scrambled duplicate even after the primary footage failed. What I'm about to describe isn't available anywhere else. I haven't released it. I don't know if I ever will. Because something changes after you watch it. The shot opens mid-breath, like Ethan gasping. The audio's blown out, clipped like his lungs can't draw enough air. He's running downhill, his headlamp catching glimpses of bare trees and scattered gear, his own backpack shredded. He turns, and the camera catches something. No shape, no eyes. Just a shimmer moving wrong, like a heat wave on water, in the exact silhouette of a person standing still. Then, it's gone. Ethan keeps moving, whispering to himself through cracked teeth, repeating, "Get to the river, get to the river. It won't cross water." But he trips, hard. The camera tumbles, goes sideways, lens catching the blur of something tall kneeling beside him in complete silence. Then everything freezes. No wind, no footsteps. Just Ethan breathing, a low electronic whine like a charged magnet in a microwave. And in the bottom of the frame, a pale set of fingers inching in frame, upside down. The voice that comes isn't Ethan's. It's warped, layered, mechanical, and childlike. "You stayed too long." The frame skips. Ethan's face appears. He's being dragged, not by hands, by nothing. His eyes are locked forward, wide open, reflecting a light source that doesn't exist. It's then the footage snaps to static, but not total. In the static, you can make out outlines, frames of past hikers, faces frozen mid-scream, overlaying each other like layers of the dead stacked on top of the living. The last full second of footage is silent. A single unmoving shot of a flat patch of earth under moonlight. No sign of Ethan. Just one thing lying dead center. The GoPro itself, lens cracked, blinking once before shutting off. The file ends. And then the screen goes black and stays black. But my external monitor stayed on. And for 3 seconds, long after the video file had ended, I saw my own reflection in the screen. Except I wasn't sitting still. My reflection was smiling. Slowly, not blinking. I yanked the power cord out. The screen stayed on. That smile stayed for 5 seconds longer before it faded into pure black. And my room smelled like something wet had been in it. Something wrong. I haven't been able to sleep without white noise since. Because in that silence, I can hear a whisper behind me every night at 2:41 a.m. Don't rewind.